You can see my screen now? Can everybody see my
Yes,
screen?
ma'am.
So today we'll start and I can't say finish, but do as much as possible of curvilinear coordinates that is there in your syllabus. Alright. So first we have to understand what curvilinear coordinates are. A little bit of this you have done in your high school, I think +2 mathematics, when you did polar coordinates. If you remember, you used under certain circumstances the polar coordinates r theta instead of your xyz coordinates, and the r theta coordinates is only a two-dimensional version of one of the curvilinear coordinates that we are going to study. Alright. So first let us see what curvilinear coordinates are. Different coordinate systems. Now we have been, whenever we speak of a coordinate system, the coordinate system that comes to our mind is the XYZ system, right? XYZ along the three lines that are mutually perpendicular to each other, and we have the unit vectors I cap, j cap and k cap along these three directions, x, y and z direction, and any point in this particular coordinate system is denoted by the coordinates x, y and z. It's three-dimensional, and we more or less know everything required about this coordinate system. We know how to write a vector in this coordinate system. We know how to differentiate and integrate vectors in this coordinate system. We know how to take divergence, gradient and curl and Laplacian in this coordinate system, and more or less everything that we do, we know about this coordinate system. Now, how does the requirement of other coordinate systems then arise? All right. Now, first of all, we must remember that the rectangular Cartesian coordinate system is just a very special case. Okay, it's a special case where the three axes are straight lines. It's a special case where the three axes intersect at a point such that they are mutually orthogonal, so that the unit vectors, the dot product of pairs of unit vectors is always 0, and the planes, all right, the planes that intersect to form the x, y and z axis, the x equal to 0 plane, the y equal to 0 plane, the z equal to 0 plane, or rather the surfaces, the x equal to 0 surface, the y equal to 0 surface, the z equal to 0 surface, they are all plane surfaces. Okay, so as I must have told you in one of my earlier classes, that to imagine how to set up a rectangular coordinate Cartesian coordinate system, you have to look at one corner of your room, assuming that it is a rectangular shaped room, and at that corner, where suppose two walls and the floor meet that corner, so the two walls are two plane surfaces and the floor is another plane surface, and they intersect, these three plane surfaces intersect each other at the corner, and as a result the lines along which they intersect are straight lines and they are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so you can imagine setting up the XYZ coordinate system along the edges at the corner of your room. But as I told you, this is a very special case. Okay. Now suppose, let us first talk about it mathematically. Okay. Suppose we express the rectangular Cartesian coordinates x, y, z of any point P which has rectangular coordinates x, y, z. Let us suppose that we can express each of x, y, and z as functions of some parameters u1, u2, and u3 such that x is a function of u1, u2, u3, y is a function of u1, u2, u3, z is a function of u1, u2, u3. Okay? Let us suppose that this can be done. Now, if the circumstances is such that this set of equations 1 can be solved, you can see there are 3 equations and there are 3 unknowns u1, u2, u3. So suppose this set of equations is such that this set can be solved for the unknowns u1, u2, u3 in terms of x, y, z, so that we get u1 u1 as a function of x, y, and z, u2 as a function of x, y, z, and u3 as a function of x, y, z. Okay. Now, if this is possible, and if the functions x, y, z and u1, u2, u3 that we obtain from the set of equations 1 and the set of equations 2, if they are single valued, if they have continuous derivatives, so that the correspondence between the triad x, y, z and the triad u1, u2, u3 is unique. Okay. So 3 conditions: that the functions are single valued, that is at a particular point it will have only a particular value. If the function has continuous derivatives, the derivatives are not discontinuous at any place, and the correspondence between these 2 sets of parameters is unique, then given a point P which has coordinates x, y, z, we can associate a unique set of coordinates u1, u2, u3 to the same point P, and these are called the curvilinear coordinates. Okay, so this is the mathematical sort of, I should say, definition, or in the language of mathematics, what is meant by curvilinear coordinates of a particular point P. If it has a set of Cartesian coordinates x, y, z, then if these conditions that I just stated above, that are there in this particular slide, if these are maintained, then we can assign another unique set of coordinates u1, u2, u3 to the same point P, which is called the curvilinear coordinates of the point P. Okay. This equation 1 or equation 2 are called the transformation equations of the coordinates. Okay. You transform either x, y, z from u1, u2, u3 you get x, y, z, or from x, y, z you get u1, u2, u3. So these are called the transformation equations. Now, eventually, when we discuss the different coordinate systems, you will get to understand why we actually require coordinate systems other than the XYZ coordinate system. Because first of all, as I told you, XYZ system, the Cartesian system, is a very, very special kind of coordinate system. In the universe, it might not always occur that all the axes are mutually perpendicular, all the intersecting surfaces are planes. Okay, and then working with the XYZ system becomes very, very difficult, which is why you have to assign the coordinate system according to the problem that you are facing at that particular point. Okay, now saying a lot of things about this, I can go on saying things, but it won't make you understand. But as we do the, hands-on, as we do the sort of analysis of the different systems, you will get to understand what I'm trying to say. Now, let us take a look at this picture. This is taken from the internet. You can see that there are three surfaces. Okay, this is one. So this is our normal XYZ. The XYZ axis are set up, mutually perpendicular, and somewhere in space with respect to the XYZ system, we have three surfaces intersecting each other. Okay, we have a surface one equal to constant. If you have something to say, then unmute and you can tell me. If you don't have something to say, then please don't unmute yourself. This is the fourth time that I'm facing this. Okay? So this is one surface, as it has been pointed out, u1 equal to constant. Now I hope all of you understand that the equation of a surface can be expressed as some function equal to a constant, right? That we have discussed before. Like for example, for a plane, we can write ax plus by plus cz equal to constant. For a sphere, we can write x square plus y square plus z square equal to constant. So some function equal to a constant, this can geometrically represent a surface. So we have three surfaces, u1 equal to constant, u2 equal to constant, and u3 equal to constant. And these surfaces intersect each other. You can see clearly from the picture that these surfaces are not flat plane surfaces. They are arbitrarily curved. Okay. In this particular picture, they have shown three surfaces which are symmetrically curved, but it might jolly well occur that in the universe you get intersecting surfaces which are not symmetrically curved. Okay, so that can happen. Whatever be the case, when these three surfaces are intersecting, mutually intersecting each other, then there arise curves along the lines of intersection. And since these surfaces are not themselves flat plane surfaces, therefore the lines along which they intersect each other are also not straight lines, not all straight lines. Okay, there are curvatures. So suppose we consider the surfaces as has been indicated in the diagram, u1 equal to constant, u2 equal to constant, and u3 equal to constant. u1 equal to constant, u2 equal to constant, and constant. They are the coordinate surfaces. The curve along which any two surfaces intersect are called the coordinate curves. So here these, yes, here these are the coordinate curves. Okay. Now this is a general picture. When the coordinate surfaces intersect at right angles, what we get is an orthogonal coordinate system, which happens in our Cartesian system. As I told you, it's a special case where the coordinate surfaces intersect at right angles. It might not always be the general case where they intersect at right angles. For example, in this very picture, they do not intersect at right angles. When they do intersect at right angles, we say we have got an orthogonal coordinate system. So there are several orthogonal coordinate systems. For example, our first choice is always the Cartesian system, where we denote the coordinates by x, y, z. Then there is the cylindrical coordinate system, where the coordinates are denoted by rho, phi, z. And then there is the spherical polar coordinate system, where the coordinates are denoted by r, theta, phi. Okay. There are several other coordinate systems too. There can be an elliptical coordinate system, several other coordinate systems. Okay, these are orthogonal. There can be coordinate systems where the axes are not mutually orthogonal. Okay, so that is also there. These are special cases where the axes are mutually orthogonal. So now we have only these two. Fortunately, we do not have any non-orthogonal coordinate system to study. We have two, apart from the Cartesian system, which we have already dealt with several times. We have two other coordinate systems that we will study in detail. The first one is the cylindrical system and the second one is the spherical polar system. Okay? So let me start with the cylindrical system. Cylindrical coordinate system. Alright. Job, whatever be the case, whenever you are asked to analyze a coordinate system, your first job will be to set up the coordinate axes that are known to us. That is the x, y, z, the Cartesian coordinate axis. Okay. Please, this is my request to you, that we are starting something that is new to you. At least I am teaching this new to you, and this is very, very, very important concept. So if you do not understand anything at any point, please do stop me and ask me to re-explain it. Okay? Because if you think that it's afternoon, you all have had your lunch, if you think you're falling asleep, then get some coffee, wash your face, because this is something that you need to understand. And I mean, be interactive. If you have something to say relevant to this class, then please do unmute and tell me. Okay? There's no point that I keep on talking and you all fall asleep on the other side, because I can't see you. So that's something, please take care of that. Okay. So what we do is we set up the Cartesian coordinate axis, and we take a point P. All right. So this point P will have coordinates x, y, z. Now what we first do is we drop a perpendicular from the point P onto the xy plane at the point P prime. All right. We drop a perpendicular from the point P onto the xy plane at the point P prime. Clear? Then we join this point P prime with the origin O. Okay, clear? This line segment OP prime is denoted by rho, the Greek alphabet rho, and this is our first coordinate of this system. OP prime denoted by, so the point in question for which we are setting up the coordinates is this P. Okay, but our first coordinate is this. We drop from P a perpendicular onto the xy plane at P prime, and then we join origin with P prime, and that distance, that line segment OP prime, is denoted by rho and is our first coordinate. Then we look at the angle that OP prime makes with the x-axis. Angle that OP prime makes with the x-axis, and we denote it by phi. Okay? And finally, if you join P with the z-axis, then I have not named this point. Suppose this point is something, P double prime. So P double prime is also the same value rho.
Ma'am,
Yes.
phi-টা যেটা নেব সেটা কি clockwise or anti-clockwise?
Anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise. From, you start from the x-axis and you move towards OP prime. Okay. And then this distance here from O to this point, which I just now called P double prime, is the distance z on the x-axis. Okay. So these three parameters, rho, phi, and z, are the three coordinates that we are going to assign when we set up the cylindrical coordinate system. Now, why this is called the cylindrical coordinate system, we'll come to know in a moment. Okay. We also drop perpendiculars from the point P prime onto the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay. Our x-intercept and this is our y-intercept. All right. Now, from our knowledge of basic trigonometry, we can write this: x equal to rho cos phi, y equal to rho sin phi, and z, of course, is equal to z. Can't express it in terms of rho or phi, it's just z, because it's just an intercept, a segment on the z-axis. Okay. On the other hand, from these, so what have we done here? We have expressed x, y, and z, the Cartesian coordinates, in terms of rho, phi, and z, the claimed cylindrical coordinates. We still do not know whether we can actually set up these as a coordinate system. We don't know the surfaces yet. We don't know the axes yet. We don't know the unit vectors. We are trying. Okay. We are checking out whether we can do this. Now, we can, from this set of equations, we can see that we can write rho square equal to x square plus y square, tan phi equal to y by x, and z equal to z. So this set, in this set, we have expressed x, y, and z in terms of rho, phi, and z. And in this set, we have expressed rho, phi, and z in terms of x, y, and z. Okay. These are my transformation equations. Can you mute yourself if you don't have anything to say? Whoever is on unmute. Okay. So you can see that these two sets have given me my transformation equation, and for a particular point P, this set is unique. All right. Hence, for any point in space which has Cartesian coordinates x, y, z, there also exists a unique set of cylindrical coordinates rho, phi, z. Okay, that was our first criteria when we defined curvilinear coordinates, that if x, y, z can be expressed as functions of u1, u2, u3, and u1, u2, u3 can be expressed as functions of x, y, z, and if this set of transformation equations is single valued, continuous, has continuous derivatives, and unique for a given point, then they form a set of curvilinear coordinates. So for any given point x, y, z in space, we can also assign the same point with the coordinates rho, phi, and z. Clear? So now that we have got our coordinate system, we will start identifying the surfaces, and then we'll find the unit vectors, etc., etc. Okay, one by one. So for a point P, if x, y, z is a set of coordinates, then rho, phi, z is another set of coordinates. Now, if you look at rho, okay, if the point P is on the z-axis, then the value of rho is 0, and then when the point P is not on the z-axis, it will have some finite value, and this point P can be, minimum value of rho can be 0 when the point P is on the z-axis, and maximum value can be infinite, right? Because I mean, I can take P to infinite distance from the z-axis, and then the distance from P of the point P from the z-axis will be infinite. So the value of rho can be anywhere between 0 and infinity. Clear to everybody? So when I take, suppose the value of rho is something, say 10 units, right? So when I say that P is 10 units away from the z-axis, then it is not necessary that it is the point P is here only. It could be on the other side also, 10 units away from the z-axis. It could be here also. It could be here also. It could be here also. So can someone tell me that if I just tell you that P is at a distance 10 units from the z-axis, then what is the shape along which I can place this point P about the z-axis? What is the locus of the curve along which I can place the point P and it will still be 10 units away from the z-axis? Anyone? No one? এখানে হলো distance row, এখানে হলো distance row, এখানে গেলেও distance row, এরকম জায়গায় গেলেও distance row। তাহলে এটা কিসের উপর থাকছে এই পয়েন্ট P টা? যেখানে যে circle, exactly, about a circle. And if I have not specified z, then সার্কেল তো হচ্ছে আমি z স্পেসিফাই করে দিয়েছি, এই হাইটেই আছে, তাহলে অ্যাবাউট আ সার্কেল। কিন্তু ইফ আই হ্যাভ নট স্পেসিফাইড z, then what is the shape of the surface on which this point P can lie?
Sphere, madam.
না, sphere না, cylinder. স্ফিয়ার হলে তো তলাতেও চলে যাবে, স্ফিয়ার তো তলায়ও যাবে, নিচের দিকেও যাবে। Okay, cylinder. So if I have not specified z, then P can be here also. Okay, ধরো এই সার্কেলটার উপরেও থাকতে পারে, আবার খানিকটা নিচে নেমে এই সার্কেলটার উপরেও থাকতে পারে, আবার খানিকটা নিচে নেমে এই সার্কেলটার উপরেও থাকতে পারে। You understand? You have to be a little imaginative for the time being. আমি তোমাদের eventually দেখাবো সারফেসটা কিভাবে জেনারেটেড হয়। So basically this point P, unless phi and z are specified, if you have just given a value of rho, then this point P can appear on the surface of a cylinder, anywhere on the surface of a cylinder of radius rho about the z-axis, which is why we call this the cylindrical coordinate system. Okay. Now next, phi. The minimum value of phi is when this point P prime will lie on the x-axis. Then phi is 0, and the maximum value of phi is when again it lies on the x-axis, but it had taken a complete turn around the z-axis. So the value of phi can be anywhere between 0 and 2 pi. Minimum value is 0 and maximum value is when you come back to the x-axis anti-clockwise, and it is 2 pi. Okay? And can someone tell me what are the limits of z?
0 to infinity.
0 to infinity, yes, but also minus infinity to infinity. Okay, why will we not consider the third and fourth quadrant? No one gave us any restriction. We can also go to the third and fourth quadrant. So if the point P lies in the fourth quadrant, then this is on the negative z axis, okay, and it can go up to negative infinity also. So the limit of z is minus infinity to plus infinity. All right. So we have got the limits of our coordinates. In the xyz system, all three of them, x, y and z, can lie between minus infinity and plus infinity. Here we have rho between 0 and infinity, we have phi between 0 and 2 pi, and we have z between minus infinity to plus infinity. So for fixing a point in space by the cylindrical coordinate system, we have to specify all three. So when you give rho and don't give phi and z, it can lie anywhere on the surface of a cylinder. So what do? You fix phi, okay? So then it comes here. But if you don't state z, then it can still be anywhere along this line. Phi is fixed, so it will be along this line, but it can be anywhere. So you fix z, the height, and then you fix the position of the point P. All right, so that is how the parameters rho, phi and z form the coordinates of the point P. Now what are the unit vectors? The unit vectors will be rho cap, phi cap and z cap. What we know how the directions of the unit vectors x cap, z cap and x cap, y cap and z cap, or in more common terms I cap, j cap and k cap look. We still don't know how rho cap, phi cap and z cap will look. We will see that very soon. What are the surfaces? One is the plane surface. This is the plane surface, okay, this plane, and it will rotate about if phi is not fixed, okay, and only rho and z are fixed. Suppose you have not been given any value of phi, but you have been given a value of rho and z. So this, for the same value of rho and z, this plane can be anywhere all about this z axis. So it's basically like a fan. It's a plane which rotates about the z axis like a fan, okay. The second surface, as I told you, is cylindrical. When only rho is fixed, neither phi nor z has been fixed, so it will be on the surface of a cylinder. And even if rho is also not fixed, then rho can be from 0 to infinite, so it will be a cylindrical surface whose radius continuously increases from 0 to infinity, okay. And finally, so this is the cylinder that I'm talking about. And finally, the third surface is a plane which moves up and down along the z axis. So you have fixed rho and you have given phi, but you have not specified z. So it can be anywhere, this plane here that is drawn with the dotted lines, this plane can move up and down along the z axis, okay. So what I'll do now is I'll show you a sort of a short movie. Yes. Can you see what I'm trying to say? What I have been trying to say? Can you now picturize it?
Yes, ma'am.
So the plane that rotates about the x-axis when z and rho has been specified but phi has not been given. The cylindrical surface, which you know is a cylinder of a certain height, and of course it's the angle phi is not specified. Rho starts from 0 and goes up to infinity. So it's a cylindrical surface that starts from the z-axis and extends outwards. And the third surface is the plane where z has not been specified, so it moves up and down along the z-axis. Does this picture make it clear to everybody what kind of surface, what are the surfaces that intersect to form the cylindrical coordinate system? Yeah. Okay. So now I'll go back to my presentation. These are the three surfaces. Now next we will see how we know that in the Cartesian system we write a vector as ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. Now let us see how in the cylindrical system we can write a vector. So now from intuition we can say that a vector can be written as a rho rho cap plus a phi phi cap plus az z cap. This is from intuition. But we still don't know how a rho, a phi, az looks, or what are actually the directions of rho cap, phi cap or z cap. So now next step, now that we have set up the coordinate axis, our next step is to find out the expressions for the components in the cylindrical system and the unit vectors in the cylindrical system. Of course, in terms of the Cartesian system. Now, this is a definition that you need to know. Okay, you don't need to derive this. You just need to know that by definition, unit vectors in any generalized coordinate system are given by this expression, where if you remember in the first slide, I used the generalized coordinates as u1, u2, u3. So for any one of those ui, where I can be 1, 2 or 3, the unit vector along that particular coordinate is given by del r del ui divided by mod del r del ui. Okay, where r of course is the position vector in the Cartesian system given by xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. Okay. Now in the cylindrical system we know that x is rho cos phi, y is rho sin phi and z is z. No change in z. So we can write r in terms of the cylindrical parameters as rho cos phi I cap plus rho sin phi j cap plus zk cap, where I have used the values of x, y and z in terms of rho and phi. Therefore, according to this definition here, what will be the unit vector along rho cap? See, del r del u divided by mod del r del u. So del r del rho divided by mod del r del rho. What is del r del rho? This is r. So you take its derivative with respect to rho. You get, just a second. মঞ্জিশটা সেম ওয়ান অনার্সের ক্লাস নিচ্ছি, আমি তোমার ক্লাসটা নিয়ে ফোন করছি। হ্যাঁ, okay. So you take the derivative with respect to rho. What you get? Very easy. Rho cos phi I cap plus rho sin phi j cap. Z does not depend on rho, so it does not give any term. And in the denominator you have mod of this thing. So root over x cos square phi plus sin square phi, which is 1. So the value is cos phi I cap plus sin phi j. So this is the direction of rho cap. Alright, in terms of the directions I cap and j. Next we have to find out phi cap. Again, similarly, del r del phi divided by mod del r del phi. Again, you take the derivative of this expression here with respect to phi. So you get minus rho sin phi I cap plus rho cos phi j cap This does not contain phi, so it won't give a term. And downstairs you have mod, so root over rho square sine square phi plus rho square cos square phi. If you take this rho square outside the root, then it will cancel out with the rho of the numerator. So inside will remain sine square phi plus cos square phi, which is 1. So phi cap is equal to minus sine phi I cap plus cos phi j cap. This is some extra s from somewhere. This will be cos phi j cap. Okay. Z del r del z by mod del r del z, which is k cap, as you can see. Okay. These are the unit vectors rho cap, phi cap, and z cap in terms of the Cartesian unit vectors I cap and j cap. This gives you the direction. Okay. I want you to do for homework this small problem to show that the coordinate system that we have just set up is orthogonal. That is rho cap dot phi cap equal to phi cap dot z cap equal to z cap dot rho cap equal to 0. You will use these expressions, take the dot product. Actually, homework করার কিছু নেই, এটা এক্ষুনি মুখোমুখি করা হয়ে যায়, but this is just an exercise to be convinced that yes, we have set the coordinate system that we have set up is actually an orthogonal coordinate system. Now, if you have done matrices, which I know you have done with TG sir, then this particular set of 3 equations can be written as a matrix equation like this. Okay, and then from this matrix equation you can now write I, j, k in terms of rho phi z. So this is what I get. I cap is equal to cos phi rho cap minus sin phi phi cap. J cap is sin phi rho cap plus cos phi phi cap, and sorry, this will be phi cap. Otherwise this mistake will remain when I send you the file. And k cap is z cap. So what have we done? Now from this exercise that we have done, we can now express rho cap, phi cap and z cap in terms of I cap, j cap and k cap. We can also express I cap, j cap and k cap in terms of rho cap, phi cap and z cap. So given one system of coordinates, you can use these methods to go to the other system of coordinates. Okay. Now in this particular system, the cylindrical system, we saw that a vector is written as a rho rho cap plus a phi phi cap plus a z z cap. So what I do is I write the expressions of rho cap, phi cap and z cap in terms of I cap, j cap and k. Okay, rho cap, see rho cap I have written this expression, phi cap I have written this expression, and z cap is of course k cap. And then what I do is I gather the coefficients of I, j and k. So if you take I cap common, you are left with a rho cos phi minus a phi sin phi. If you take j cap common, you are left with a rho sin phi plus a phi cos phi and a z k cap. So what is this like? I cap into something plus j cap into something plus k cap into something, right? So basically we have got the x component, the y component and the z component. Okay, so using the expression of rho phi z, I have expressed a vector from the cylindrical system in terms of the Cartesian system. So the components of the Cartesian system in terms of the cylindrical components are this. All right. Again, in the Cartesian system, we know A is ax I cap plus ay j cap plus az k cap. So using I cap, j cap and k cap in terms of rho cap, phi cap and z cap, I write this. So instead of I cap, I write its cylindrical it in terms of the cylindrical parameters, j cap in terms of the cylindrical parameters, and k cap is of course z cap. Then same thing, I gathered the coefficients of rho cap, I gathered the coefficients of phi cap and this. So basically what have I done? Rho cap into something plus phi cap into something plus z cap into something. Okay. So this is a rho, this is a phi, and so a rho, a phi and a z are, again I have made a mistake. So these two sets of equations are very, very important, and this type of problem comes in your university paper. You are given a vector in the cylindrical system. You are asked to find the corresponding components in Cartesian, or you are given a vector in the Cartesian system. You are asked to find the corresponding component in the cylindrical system. Is this exercise clear to everybody? You don't need to learn, মুখস্থ করার কোনো প্রয়োজন নেই এই ফর্মুলাগুলো, একদমই মুখস্থ করবে না, মুখস্থ করলে ভুল হবে। You just go step by step. Okay. You know what the coordinates in the cylindrical system are. Okay. Just how to write the unit vectors. After doing a few problems, rho cap এর expression আর phi cap এর expression মনেই থেকে যাবে। আর দেখতেই পাচ্ছ rho cap আর phi cap just phase, opposite phase. Okay, cos phi I cap এটা minus sin phi I cap, sin phi I cap এটা cos phi j cap. Okay, and z cap is k cap. So rho cap phi cap জানা থাকলে then you can write rho phi z in terms of ijk, and using the matrix method you can write ijk in terms of rho phi z, and then you write down a in the cylindrical system, write down the expression of rho cap, phi cap, z cap, gather the coefficients of I cap, j cap and k cap, and find out ax, ay, az. Similarly, if you are given the vector in the Cartesian system, write down I, j and k in terms of rho cos phi and rho cap, phi cap, z cap, gather the coefficient of rho cap, phi cap and z cap, you get a rho, a phi, a z. Okay. So this is a very typical problem that you often get in your university paper. Transformation from one vector to another. That is, a vector given in one system, you are asked to transform it to another system. All right? Okay. Now next, which what we are going to do, this is again very, very important. All right? Extremely important. So right up to now what we did for the preliminaries of vectors that we did in our vector class, how to write the component form. Once you write the vector in the component form, you can find the dot product, you can find the cross product, you can add vectors, you can subtract vectors and so on. Next step is differentiation and integration. Now in the Cartesian system, differentiation and integration becomes easy because you know the infinitesimal increments in each of the coordinates dx, dy and dz are along the x, y and z axis. Area, infinitesimal area is either dx, dy or dy, dz or dx, dz, and infinitesimal volume element is dx, dy, dz. In the cylindrical system, or rather in any general curvilinear coordinate system, writing down the line elements or the volume element or the area element is not that straightforward. So we need to understand and see how the infinitesimal length, area and volume elements are written in the cylindrical coordinate system, because we would need the expressions of these elements if we want to do integration, or if we want to take gradient, divergence, curl, etc. in the different curvilinear coordinate systems. Okay, so preliminary বোঝাতেই 1 ঘন্টা চলে গেল। Now we all know that the infinitesimal length element in the Cartesian system dl is given by dx I cap plus dy j cap plus dz k cap. This we all know, right? Now we want to write this same element in the other coordinate systems. For now we know only the cylindrical system, so we'll see how to write this in the cylindrical system. First job when you are doing a problem in curvilinear coordinate is to set up your xyz axis. We do that. We know that a given point P has either coordinates xyz, and along with it you can also be expressed in terms of the coordinate rho phi z. And what do? We drop a perpendicular from P onto the xy plane to the point P prime, join OP prime, and that is our first cylindrical coordinate rho. This much we had discussed. Now if you want to give rho an infinitesimal increment, you increase rho by a very, very small amount. In what direction will it be? This. Okay, and we denote it by d rho. We change the value of rho by an infinitesimal amount. So we change it, say, by an amount d rho, which would look like this. So in the cylindrical system, infinitesimal increment is in rho is d rho. Okay. Next, the next coordinate is phi. It's an angle. So if you want to make an infinitesimal increment in this angle, what will it be? Some value d phi. So this is rho. This line, you want to change this infinitesimal. So, and as I told you, it's good that someone asked that we always move in anti-clockwise direction. So to make an infinitesimal increase in the angle, we have to move a certain angle in this direction. Okay, so this is it's so we have to move from the point P under consideration. So this is the angle. Okay, this increment is d phi. All right, so infinitesimal increase in the value of the coordinate phi is d phi. Clear to everybody? আমি খুব আস্তে বলছি কারণ this is something that is I shouldn't say this is tough. This is, I mean, nothing is tough, but since this is new, so it is good that if you understand it step by step and understand it in such a way that you don't forget it later. So this is d phi. So infinitesimal increment in phi is d phi, but d phi is an angle. You have to remember that d phi is an angle. It is not a length element. D phi can be in degrees or in radians, but it cannot be in centimeters or millimeters. So can someone suggest how do I get the length increase in terms of d phi? What is the change in length or the infinitesimal length element involved when I increase the angle by an amount d phi?
Arc length.
Arc length. Very good. Arc length. So length increment due to change in phi is rho d phi. This arc value of this, actually d phi is something over here, this angle. Okay. So rho d phi. All of you know how to find the arc length. This is rho d phi. And finally, the third coordinate that we need to increase, this is easy, this is along the z-axis, so this makes our life a little bit simple. Along z-axis, so increase along z-axis, dz. Alright, so now we know how to write down dl in the cylindrical system. d rho cap plus rho d phi phi cap plus dz z cap. So the line elements along the three unit vectors are d rho, rho d phi and dz. This is the only place where you need to, remember that don't write d phi, just d phi by mistake. Always remember that phi is an angle. So d phi cannot be a length element. You have to write a length element here and you get the length element by writing the arc length, which is rho d phi. Okay, so this is what you get. This is the line element. Now next, what do we have to do? We have to write the area element and the volume element. Now for that, please step by step follow how I am making the increments over here. These are the increments d rho, rho d phi and dz. Okay, now what I do is, basically I have taken my line OP prime to this new position by changing the angle by a value d phi, so that I have got this arc length rho d phi. Okay, so d rho can also be along that line. Okay, again, so this arc here will be rho plus d rho into d phi. Okay, same angle. So this arc length will be rho plus d rho multiplied by d phi. But my point is over here. Remember, this is my point whose coordinates are rho phi z. You have to remember that. So what I do is join that is also rho and take it to the other side anti-clockwise by changing phi by an amount d phi. So this is d rho, and that is the position where I get when I change the angle by an amount d phi. Okay, and this is d rho along that line, and I join this point also, which I get after increasing by dz. Remember, this is also rho and this is also d rho. That is where I get when I change by an amount d phi, and that is also d rho. Okay, so this is rho d phi. This is also the arc length. Okay, so I join these elements. Clear? So can you imagine this? See, this surface here, the inner surface that has been generated, is basically lying on the surface of a cylinder whose radius is rho. All right, and this outer surface, this surface here on the outer edge, lies on the surface of a cylinder whose radius is rho plus d rho. Can all of you visualize this? Inner surface, inner curved surface lies on the surface of a cylinder whose radius is rho, and this outer curved surface lies on the surface of a cylinder whose radius is rho plus d rho. Can you visualize this? The two cylinders which I have got by infinitesimally increasing the radius? Yes?
Yes, madam.
Yes. Okay. So next what we do is we quickly write down the area elements. Since we know the line elements along the three directions, it is easy to write down the area element because we know for each area it is length into breadth. It is the product of two line elements. So ds1, the first surface, is rho d rho into d5, which is this surface here. Okay, or if you take this red block on top, then this bottom surface or this top surface is, this is d rho and this is rho d5. So the product of these two line elements give you the first area, ds1. Next, ds2 is d rho dz, both straight line elements. So this square or rectangular surface over here, this surface or that surface, this is a flat surface. Okay, the top surface or the bottom surface is also a flat surface. This is also a flat surface, d rho dz. And finally ds3, which is rho d5 into dz. This is dz, this is rho d5. So this curved surface here or here is the third surface, rho d5 into dz. So actually there are 6 area elements: top, bottom, front, back, and right, left, which are denoted by rho d rho d5, d rho dz, and rho d5 dz. Okay, have all of you been able to identify the area elements? Do you want me to repeat it once more?
ম্যাডাম
Area
ওই
element,
DS1 DS2 আর DS3 কোন তিনটে ওইটা একটু বলে দিন,
হ্যাঁ,
মানে এমনি
ds1,
ক্যালকুলেশনটা বুঝেছি।
ds1 দেখো, রো ডি রো বলে তো কিছু নেই, রো d5 আছে আর ডি রো আছে, তাহলে ডি রো হচ্ছে এইটা আর রো d5 হচ্ছে এইটা। ঠিক, এটা হচ্ছে ডি রো, আমার কার্সারটা ফলো করো, দিস ইজ ডি রো, দিস ইজ রো d5। তাহলে এই দুটো লাইন এলিমেন্ট যে এরিয়ার এজেস ফর্ম করছে, that is ds1. So this flat surface at the bottom or the top, d rho into rho d5. বুঝতে পেরেছো ds1 কোনটা? Either the top
ওকে
flat
ম্যাডাম।
surface or the bottom flat surface. Okay. Next is ds2, d rho dz. দুটোই straight line. This is d rho, this is dz. So this rectangle here or this rectangle here, the front or the back surface. বোঝা গেছে ds2?
হ্যাঁ,
d rho dz. Finally rho d5 into dz. This is dz and this is rho d5. তাহলে এই যে curved surface টা, the right surface or the left surface, this is there is only one curved surface. This, I mean two curved surfaces, either the right surface or the left surface, dz into rho d5 or dz into rho d5. বোঝা গেছে? Clear?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম।
Okay. So once you know the line element and the area elements, it is very easy to get the volume elements. Volume এর ছবিটা তো দেখতেই পাচ্ছ, volume elemented infinitesimal volume element looks like this, and mathematical expression is this, rho d rho into d5 into dz. So this chunk here, the red chunk, that gives you an infinitesimal volume element in the cylindrical coordinate system. We can quickly check that integrating this volume element will give you a cylinder. Okay, so let's quickly check. Integrate d tau, volume integration. So integration rho d rho integration d phi, integration dz. If we are talking about a cylinder whose area, whose radius is say small a, then rho will go from 0 to small a. Okay, so rho d rho integration from 0 to small a. D phi will always go from 0 to 2 pi. And if I am talking about a cylinder of height h, then z will go from 0 to h. We can also take, if you change the symmetry of this cylinder, if you take both the top quadrant and the bottom quadrant, then z can also go from minus h by 2 to plus h by 2. Here I have taken the base to be on the xy plane, so I have taken from 0 to h. Okay, so if you integrate this, this will give you rho square by 2, so a square by 2. This will give you 2 pi, and this will give you h, so pi a square h, which is the volume of a cylinder. So basically a cylinder is made up of infinite number of infinitesimal volume elements like this red one. Alright? How do you, how can you imagine such an element in real life? All of you have in your life of 18 years, sometime or the other, cut a birthday cake. সবাই বার্থডে কেক কেটেছো কখনো না কখনো? কেটেছো তো?
Yes, ma'am.
So can you identify rho d rho d phi now? Rho d rho d phi dz. When you cut a cake, the slice that comes out, okay, and you either eat it or feed it to somebody or you smash it on the face of your friend, this is the element that you are talking about. সবাই কি ইমাজিন করতে পারছো সিলিন্ড্রিক্যাল ভলিউম এলিমেন্টটা কিরকম দেখতে হয়? Have I been able to explain myself? Okay, so the next time you cut a birthday cake or one of your friend or family member does, just announce that what you are eating is rho d rho d phi dz. Okay,
ম্যাডাম বলছি এখানে DS1 এ ডিরো ইনটু ডি ফাইটা বুঝলাম, কিন্তু এখানে রোটা কোত্থেকে গুণ করলাম কেন করলাম সেটা একটুখানি বলতে হবে।
ডি ফাই তো অ্যাঙ্গেল, ডি ফাই তো লাইন এলিমেন্ট নয়। অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি লিখেছি রো ডি রো ডি ফাই, কিন্তু অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইজ দ্য প্রোডাক্ট অফ ডি রো অ্যান্ড রো ডি ফাই। এইটা হচ্ছে ডি রো আর এইটা হচ্ছে রো ডি ফাই। তাহলে এই যে সারফেসটা তৈরি হলো তার এরিয়া হচ্ছে,
আচ্ছা ম্যাডাম বুঝতে পেরেছি, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ আর্কের সঙ্গে হ্যাঁ
আর্ক লেন্থের সাথে ডি রো। ঠিক আছে, so this is the product, these are rather the infinitesimal line element, area elements and volume element in the cylindrical system. Right? Okay, let me see if I can এই ছবিটা উইকিপিডিয়াতেই আছে। I was trying to find a good picture of this. Cannot. This is somewhat something that might give you an insight. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. All right, they have used other symbols, rho r instead of rho. So this is the slice of volume that I was talking about in the cylindrical system. All right. Okay. And the best part is that you can verify that this is actually the volume element, because when you integrate it, you quickly get pi a square h. And the beauty of the thing is that if you try to find out remember how we found out the volume of a cylinder when we were verifying Gauss's divergence theorem using Cartesian system? Do you all remember? We took the volume element and how we took the three surfaces, etc. But if you're using the cylindrical coordinate system and your problem has a cylindrical symmetry, then all you need to do is take the volume element and integrate it, and it's just a one-step problem. So, you can't say that, of course, the Cartesian system is required, but now that you know the cylindrical system, and very soon that you will know the spherical polar coordinate system, you need to decide, looking at the symmetry of the problem, you will have to decide which coordinate system you use. For example, if you have a problem with cylindrical symmetry and you keep working in the Cartesian system, then the entire working will be extremely cumbersome, and there are chances of making an error. But if you have a cylindrical symmetry system, for example, you have a long wire, cylindrical wire, for which you have been asked to find the charge distribution. So you use the cylindrical coordinate system. The entire problem will become extremely easy and short. Okay, you have a sphere, so you use the spherical polar coordinate system. So depending on the symmetry of the system, you have to choose the coordinate system that will make your working out easier. Okay. So finally, since we are in the cylindrical system, we'll see how to find out gradient, divergence and curl in the cylindrical system. Okay. Now, for this, let us first see how in general we can find out gradient, divergence and curl for any curvilinear system. I know it's a little bit of overdose for one day, but I can't help it. So, suppose we consider a point in space with coordinates u, v, w, and we are in an orthogonal coordinate system. Okay, we have an orthogonal coordinate system. So now instead of u1, v1 and u1, u2 and u3, I am using the coordinates u, v, w, the curvilinear coordinates in an orthogonal system. We are not considering non-orthogonal systems. So the line element or infinitesimal displacement vector, when you are changing the position from u, v, w to u plus du, v plus dv, w plus dw, can be written as this. Okay, f du u cap plus g dv v cap plus h dw w cap. Now, can someone intuitively, can you guess why instead of just du u cap, dv v cap and dw w cap, I have also written these f, g and h elements in front? Length element তো তাহলে কার্টেসিয়ানে আমি জানি এটা হয় dx I cap plus dy j cap plus dz k cap. তাহলে একটা যে কোনো কার্ভিলিনিয়ার কোঅর্ডিনেট যেখানে কোঅর্ডিনেটস হচ্ছে u v w, আমি ইনস্টেড অফ জাস্ট রাইটিং du u cap plus dv v cap plus dw w cap, আমি সামনেই f, g আর h টা কেন লিখলাম? কেউ বলতে পারবে?
ম্যাম ম্যাগনিটিউডটার জন্য
হ্যাঁ, একজন করে
ম্যাডাম
বলো।
কার্ভিলিনিয়ার কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমের ক্ষেত্রে যে মানে আমরা যে মানে কোঅর্ডিনেটটা ব্যবহার করি সেইগুলো এক একটা ফাংশনের উপর নির্ভর করে। সেই জন্য যেগুলো এক একটা ধরুন এক্স অ্যাক্সিসটা এফ ফাংশনের উপর নির্ভর করছে বলে এফ ডিউ আর জি ফাংশন
না
এর উপর
না
নির্ভর করছে
না
জি
না না না
কোঅর্ডিনেটটা।
না 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 এফ জি এইচ এখানে কিন্তু ফাংশনস নয়। এফ একটা জাস্ট একটা কোনো নাম মানে ভ্যালু, একটা কোনো অ্যালজেব্রাইক টার্ম, দিস ইজ নট আ ফাংশন। এফ জি এইচ এখানে ফাংশন নয়। হ্যাঁ বলো।
এগুলো কি ম্যাগনিটিউড ডিনোট করছে?
না, ম্যাগনিটিউড ডিনোট করছে না। দেখো জাস্ট আমরা সিলিন্ড্রিক্যাল সিস্টেমে কি দেখলাম, যে রো ওয়াজ along a line, z was along a line, but phi was an angle. And when I write the increment due to change in phi, which was d phi, আমি কিন্তু শুধু d phi কে লিখতে পারি না লেন্থ এলিমেন্টের মধ্যে, বিকজ দ্যাট ইজ অ্যান অ্যাঙ্গেল। সেজন্য আমাকে কি করতে হলো, আর্ক লেন্থ লিখতে হলো। আই হ্যাড টু রাইট রো ডি ফাই ইনস্টেড অফ জাস্ট ডি ফাই। সো এই যে ইউভি ডাব্লিউ একটা সিস্টেমে, ইউ ডোন্ট নো ইফ ওয়ান অফ দেম অর মোর দ্যান ওয়ান অফ দেম ইজ অ্যান অ্যাঙ্গেল. And if it is an angle, then you can't just write the infinitesimal change in angle in the length element. You have to multiply it with something. Okay? So we have used F, G and H in all the three elements because we don't know what is what. Understood? Eventually, we will see what the values of F, G and H are for the different coordinate systems. You should be able to identify this because we have just done the line element in the cylindrical system where we saw phi was an angle, and so we could not write d phi alone. We had to write the arc length
ম্যাডাম,
because this was a line
তাহলে
element.
এখানে
Yes.
কি আর্ক লেন্থ করছে, তাই তো?
বলতে পারো যে FDU is an arc length, GDV is an arc length, HDW is an arc length. এবারে যদি ইউটা অ্যাঙ্গেল না হয়, যদি লেন্থ এলিমেন্টটি বাই ইটসেলফ হয়, তাহলে এফটা 1 হবে। এফ যদি 1 হয় তাহলে এফ ডিইউ উইল বি ডিইউ, অ্যান্ড ডিইউ ইজ জাস্ট আ লিনিয়ার ইনক্রিমেন্ট। ক্লিয়ার?
ক্লিয়ার।
Okay. So FGH will depend upon the coordinate system that you choose. Now, we know that in the Cartesian system, this is the length element dx I cap plus dy j cap plus dz k cap, and therefore in the Cartesian system f equal to 1, g equal to 1, h equal to 1. Okay. In the cylindrical system, dl is d rho rho cap plus rho d phi phi cap plus dz z cap. So in the cylindrical system, f equal to 1, g equal to rho and h equal to 1. সো এখনো পর্যন্ত আমরা যে দুটো কোঅর্ডিনেট সিস্টেমকে চিনেছি তাদের এফ জি আর এইচ আমরা আইডেন্টিফাই করে ফেললাম। অলরাইট, নাও why do we need? Suppose we have a scalar. Now we are talking about a function. We have a scalar function f where f is a function of UVW. Okay, so we know that df can be written as del f del u du plus del f del v dv plus del f dw dw. Okay. We also know that such an increment df can be written as grad f dot dl. This is irrespective of the coordinate. In any coordinate, this can be written. We have already done this when we were doing gradient. Okay. So df can be written as this, can also be written as this, grad f dot dl. So grad f dot dl কে আমি যদি ভেঙে এবার এইভাবে লিখি, grad f এর u component into fdu plus grad f এর v component into gdv plus grad f এর w component into hdw. Okay, so df I am writing like this because grad f dot dl, but I don't know what the u component, v component and w component of grad f are. I know what the components of dl are. They are fdu, gdv and hdw, but we don't know these. So these are what we want to find out. So this is possible only define these two expressions, this expression and this expression. Both of them represent df. So this is possible only if we define the u component of grad f as 1 by f del u, the v component of grad f as 1 by g del f del v, and the w component of grad f as 1 by h del f del w. This is by comparing these two expressions. Okay. So now I can write grad f as 1 by f del f del u u cap plus 1 by g del f del v v cap plus 1 by h del f del w w cap. Component পেয়ে গেছি, তাহলে u cap v cap w cap এর রেসপেক্টে লিখে ফেললাম। So this is the expression for gradient in any generalized curvilinear coordinate system u cap v cap w cap, provided you know what f, g and h are. So in the Cartesian system, we just wrote down the values of f, g and h in the two systems. So in the Cartesian system, f, g and h are all equal to 1. So grad f is this del f del x I cap plus del f del y j cap plus del f del z k cap. And now using this formula or using this expression, I can write down the gradient expression in the cylindrical coordinates, because I have identified the values of f, g and h in cylindrical coordinates. That is del f del rho rho cap plus 1 by rho del f del phi phi cap plus del f del z z cap. So if a function f is given in terms of rho phi z, using this expression you can find out its gradient in the cylindrical coordinate. So this is how you find out gradient in the cylindrical coordinate system. Next, let's see how we find out divergence. Okay. Now we know that the general expression for volume element in the UVW system will be given by the product of the three length elements. So it will be f du into g dv into h dw. I denote it by d tau. Okay. I have another class, so I am going a little bit fast now, but this is only mathematics, nothing much to understand. So once you go through this, if you look at the slides by yourself also, and a কাগজ পেন নিয়ে যদি পড়ো, তাহলে এটা অতটা বোঝার অসুবিধা হবে না বলে আমার মনে হয়। কিন্তু আগের যেটা একটু স্লোলি বোঝালাম ওইটা বোঝার জিনিস ছিল। So d tau is f g h du dv dw. Okay. Now we consider a vector in the UVW system written as AU U cap plus AV V cap plus AW W cap. Okay, and suppose this vector, since its divergence, we know divergence is related to flux. Okay, so let us suppose that this is related to the flow of some kind through the volume element d tau. Okay, so this is the volume element formed in the general UVW system. Okay, curved surfaces but orthogonal. So this is the volume element form. Now, for the face where the normal is u cap, okay, so this is the face where the normal n cap is equal to u cap, we can write a dot ds1 is a dot u cap, ds1 will be g dv into h dw, all right, and its direction is given by u cap, but a dot u cap will give you the component of a along u, so it is au into g h dv dw. Okay. Now for the face for which n cap is minus u cap, which means I am talking about the back surface now, n cap is minus u cap. Here the value of u will change to u plus du. I mean, there is a difference between the values of u in the front and the back surface. Okay. So for any function fu, we know that f at u plus du minus fu is given by df du du. So our expression here is au into g into h. All right. So the front and back surface together amount to a contribution given by this. I just replace F by GHAU. Okay, so this is what I get. Change along the U direction, so del U of GHAU into DU, and outside we have dV dW. Okay, so similarly, okay, so this I can write as, since we have du dv dw, see from this expression, du dv dw is 1 by fgh into d tau. So we have used that and we have written this as 1 by fgh del u of ghau into d tau. So this is the front and back surface. Similarly, right and left surfaces will yield 1 by fgh del v of fh av d tau. You can yourself write this down from symmetry. And top and bottom surfaces will yield 1 by fgh del w of fgaw d tau. Okay, so together from the 6 surfaces, the net outcome will be given by 1 by fgh sum of these 3 expressions into d tau. So using divergence theorem, then this integration a dot ds would be equal to divergence of a. So divergence of a is given by 1 by fgh, the d tau goes 1 by fgh into this expression here. Okay, so if you know the values of f, g and h, and if you know the coordinates u, v and w, you can write down the divergence. So quickly let us see what is the divergence in Cartesian. F equal to g equal to h equal to 1. So we know this, del ax plus del ay plus del az del z. And so in the cylindrical system, f equal to 1, g equal to rho, h equal to 1. So which is the expression in the cylindrical system. And finally, you take it outside the bracket. This is the divergence. 1 by rho del rho of rho a rho, 1 by rho del a phi plus del az del z. So expressions of divergence already known in Cartesian. Now you can also find out the divergence in the cylindrical system. So if a vector is given, even if a vector is given in the Cartesian system, using the transformation equation, suppose you get a problem in the exam where it says a vector is given in the Cartesian system and the problem says find out the divergence of this vector in the cylindrical coordinate system. What will you do? It will be a long problem, at least 5 to 6 marks. Okay, so what will you do? You use the transformation equation to find out the components in the cylindrical system, write down the expression of A in the cylindrical system from the Cartesian system, then use this formula to find the divergence in the cylindrical system. Okay, and finally we have the curl. Okay, curl is related to what? Curl is related to rotation. So we evaluate this closed line integral a dot dl about an infinitesimal loop. Okay, so we start at UVW and successively increase U and V. So this is a loop. Okay, this starting point is UVW. So we move along in the anti-clockwise direction and reach to a point where the value is U plus DU, VW. Then we move up along the curve. I could not draw a curve over here. I could not draw an arrowed curve, sorry. So we move to the point U plus DU, V plus DV and W. So both U and V have changed to new values. And then we move to the position where U again decreases from U plus DU to U. V remains at V plus dV and W, and then we go back to our initial point UVW. So we move in the anti-clockwise direction in this loop. Alright. Now we know that the length elements DLU is FDU and DLV is GDV. So the area should be FG du dV, but if you treat area as a vector, what will be the direction? It will be along the normal. So normal to this is W cap. Okay. So along the bottom line segment, DL is FDU U cap. So A dot DL is FU DU. If you take A dot DL, you get FU DU. Now along the top line segment, you see the direction of U cap has changed. It is opposite, minus U cap. And now this term FAU has to be evaluated not at V plus V plus, but at V plus DV. Because when you go to the top line segment along the same direction U cap, or rather opposite to it, V has also changed from V to V plus DV. So the top and bottom line segments together give us this value, minus del del V FAU into dV du. Similarly, the right and left segments will yield this G del del U of G dV into du dV, okay, where you first go from here to here and then from here to here. All right. So the total, when you move in a loop anti-clockwise on this particular closed curve over here, what you get is del del U of GAV.
ম্যাডাম আপনাকে মিউট করে দিয়েছে।
কখন কখন থেকে মিউট করে দিয়েছে?
ম্যাম জাস্ট মিউট করলো।
আচ্ছা, জাস্ট আ সেকেন্ড। Okay. So when you move about this loop about this closed curve, starting from UVW and coming back to UVW, the change in the element A will be del del U of GAV minus del del V of FAU into DU dV. Okay. So this gives me, from the expression of the area here, I can write this as 1 by FG del del U of GAV minus del del V of FAU into W cap dot ds, okay, where I have used this expression of area. This is the W component of the curl. Okay, this is a little bit difficult. This gives you the W component of the curl. So the total expression of curl in any curvilinear coordinate system having coordinates U, V and W is given by this. Okay, I'm not reading it out. So if you know the values of F, G and H, you can write down in the Cartesian system. When you write this down, it at once you can identify this because you know this. And since now you know the values of F, G and H and U, V and W in the cylindrical system, so you can also write down curl in the cylindrical system in this manner. So once again, if you are given the expression of the vector in the cylindrical system or in the Cartesian system and asked to find either the gradient or the divergence or the curl in the cylindrical system, this is the method that you will follow. You don't have to, of course, show the derivation. You just need the formula. Okay. Now, so I had thought I would also do spherical polar coordinate system, but I have another class at 6. So I can't do the spherical polar coordinate system today. What I'll do is, just a second.